So, UFC 279. This is more exciting, isn't it? Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz in the main event. Khamzat Chimaev versus Kevin Holland in the co-main. And then they put Li Jingliang versus Daniel Rodriguez in the featured bout. This is the way it should have been from the get-go. And it's a sweet revenge. It's some poetic justice, some amazing twist of events here, right? Because nobody can predict things like this. Nobody can understand things like this. But sometimes life has its way of just correcting itself. It is absolutely incredible. And I feel like we've seen this in the MMA world a lot recently, especially, with the Leon Edwards thing. I feel like Leon Edwards was getting disrespected a lot. If you just look at, like, let's say the storylines, when he got rocked in the last minute against Nate Diaz, and then he win the championship in the last minute against Kamaru Usman. And it happened a lot more, but I feel like if I go there, then we'll talk about that all night. Tonight, though, the justice that is supposed to be thrown on somebody like Nate Diaz, obviously the UFC wanted to throw Nate Diaz. No, they wanted to throw Khamzat Chimaev at Nate Diaz, who's obviously a 37-year-old veteran who hasn't, he's not in his prime anymore. This is obvious, but he still has fight. He's still being loved by everybody, and we want to see him in good fights. We don't want to see him get ragdolled just because. Obviously, we know he can lose. We know he can get beat. But the UFC were very, very, I don't want to say even selfish. I just want to say they were a good business, because if I'm a business, that's a decent move. It's building yourself up. It's leaving one guy go and then building the other one up. And as much as it's extremely annoying, I kind of understand them. But regardless, for Nate Diaz, this is the justice he deserved. It's incredible, like I say, how life works in itself. It's just, I don't know if you guys ever experienced things like this in your own personal life, but I have. And sometimes you just kind of don't understand why things are happening to you. And then later on in life, I feel like everything just explain itself. Just like, oh, that's why I went through this. And that's why I went through that. Like, I understand it a bit more now. I'm able to learn. I'm able to grow from this. And things make more sense now. There's some inexplicable things, but I'm glad they are happening. I'm glad that they're giving this to Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson, two guys that are absolutely deserving of a mega fight like this, of a fight that makes sense, right? As much as we love the UFC and we've seen them, promote Chimaev versus Diaz for a little while now, right? For a month, for a week specifically. Now, the last week was extremely. They promoted that fight a lot. But if you ask yourself that question realistically, that fight really does not make any type of sense. Chimaev versus Diaz makes zero sense, and Tony Ferguson versus Li Jingliang makes zero sense either. So yeah, it's funny how things turn out, from making fights that don't make sense just to build guys up, to now making the fights that obviously make sense, that the fans want to see even more. And it's crazy. I've said that before because I started recording, but the lights weren't on. I said, Nate Diaz is receiving the treatment that he deserved, but not by choice, more by force, by life just giving it to him. And however the fuck he's receiving it, I'm glad he's receiving it, because he deserves that farewell fight. And I think Tony is the perfect opponent to give a proper farewell, because honestly, this also might be Tony's last fight. Yeah, if you think about it, this also might be Tony's last fight. And for both guys, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful seeing this. It's rare that it happened in the UFC, because like I said, they're a business. They want to grow guys up. They know Tyron Woodley's on the way out. They're gonna put him with Vicente Luque. They're gonna put him with Gilbert Burns. Why? Because you're gonna watch Tyron Woodley for who he is, because what he's accomplished. But then you're also seeing this new guy up and comer. You don't really know him, but then he get a win. Oh, he's interesting. He's intriguing. Let's match him up. That's how you make guys grow, I guess, in this business. So I understand them. I understand the business to a degree, but I'm just happy that for once, the actual right fight, not for the business, not for the sport, just for the moment, for what it is. The right fight is happening, and I'm just glad. And if I'm being truthful with you guys, Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev is maybe more fun than a main event for me, just because of the tension, just because of the two personalities. Kevin Holland is just so cool, man. Like, I could talk about him for days, bro. Like, god damn, like, imagine taking the fight against Khamzat Chimaev, an 11-0 prospect who's 27, 28, a Dagestani wrestler when you're obviously a striker, on 0-day notice, basically no notice. I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take it. Fuck it. Like, that's some wild shit, you know? And if you think about it, Khamzat Chimaev is number 3 ranked in the world, while Kevin Holland just had a fight against Alex Oliveira, I think, right? Cowboy Oliveira. So, like, the skills aren't really at the same level, but Kevin Holland is just too cool. He's just too badass. If you ask me, he's the real gangster here. In this situation, Kevin Holland won. Just even if he gets destroyed tomorrow, just by saying, look, I got big ass balls. I'm going to just do what I'm supposed to do and take the fight and save the card. Because if Kevin Holland didn't take the card, who would Chimaev fought? Probably nobody. He would have get kicked off the card, and we wouldn't have seen him fight tomorrow. So Kevin Holland is a fucking G. I have so much respect for him, and everybody else on the card. To be honest, they're all fighters. We all have to respect them. They're way, they're a step above the rest of us. There's regular humans and then fighters, and then there's fighters that fight on this big of a stage in front of that many people, in front of that big of a crowd with that much pressure on their shoulders, and that's just something that I would never ever understand. And so respect to all of these guys, and I'm just glad that it's happening. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. So yeah, by the way, I just dropped opponents before and after fighting Robert Whittaker on the main channel. It's a banger. I talked to you guys about that last night, and it's officially up on the main channel, so it'll probably be on the screen right now. So click on that if you want to watch some more. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.